I have a few witchy herbals, herb books, or compendiums, dictionaries of herbs, encyclopedias, whatever you want to call them, that I'm going to review. And the first two are actually by the same author, Rebecca Bear, and she's out of North Carolina. So both of these, this was her first one. This came out a couple years ago. This is called Wild Witchcraft, Folk Herbalism, Garden Magic, and Foraging for Spells, Rituals, and Remedies. Again, that's by Rebecca Bear. And the artist is actually Swan Bones at Swan Bones on Instagram and Etsy. And you can buy prints. She's a fantastic artist. I have two hanging up right here. So I'll just sort of flip through the book and you can see her first book, Rebecca's first book. This is one of the prettiest books I have. And I love books like this. Like I've shown books like this. Like I've done little book reviews actually just holding the phone over the book because they're so beautiful. But this is just, I mean, the way it's printed is just, the shading is fantastic. This is just what I call one of those pretty nightstand books that if you're just a real spiritual witchy person, real earthy person, you just want to have close to you because it feels so good. But she talks about the legacy of witchcraft. It's broken down to several sections. And then there's a section on foraging. And there's a section before that actually on soil and composting and knowing your growing zones, living in sync with the seasons. I'll just show you the print. It's a real pretty font. Let's see what else is in here. Foraging again, and there's a lot of foraging. There's recipes in here. There's, oh, it talks about my favorite Datura Jimson weed. My girl. This is such a beautiful book. There are some, and like I said, there are some like dandelion tonic. There are some recipes. There's an extensive note section, citation section, and she's up on the recent academic literature on herbs. Let's see if I can show you the artwork in here. It is so beautiful. So again, this artist is Swan Bones, and she is on Swan Bones on Etsy and Instagram. So I just, there's Belladonna. Let's see if I can find Datura. I've grown her. So Tinbane. It's really, really pretty. Beautiful illustrations. Like I said, recipes and such. And it's just a lot of really good information. Just, you know, it's got things for the craft, like witchcrafting, but also for physical health and, you know, mullein spice, which is great, and products for teas and tinctures for cough and sore throat and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely recommend this book. It's the back of it. She also wrote, this one came out after that one, I think about a year. It's called Mountain Magic. And this is about Appalachian mountain magic. It talks about the history of the mountain people, the mountain folk, and the American Indians, the First Nations that lived in the region. And it just goes over a lot of terminology. And I'll just read the table of contents. Oh, I like the dedication. This book is dedicated to the diverse peoples of these blessed and ancient mountains. And if you know anything about Appalachia, it's the world's second oldest range, second oldest mountain range. I think the oldest is in South Africa. So this is just, there are beautiful illustrations, not the same illustrator, but still beautiful, beautiful artwork. This is just an amazing, I mean, I love books like this, okay? And I'll continue to review a lot of them. Blackberry, just a lot of standby herbs. And remember, our blackberry, North American blackberry, is different than European blackberry. A lot of European blackberry bushes are actually invasive. I know because I have some over there. And the brambles try to come up in my backyard all the time in my meadow. And you've probably heard me on here talking about my meadow that I've created out in the back. So again, occult uses of herbs in Appalachia. So she does go into the magic of it. She talks about the terminology like the granny women, the granny witches of Appalachia. My grandmother, my mother's grandmother, so my great grandmother was a granny witch, and here in North Alabama, so at the tail end of Appalachia. But there's again, the artwork's very beautiful. My grandmother actually went to a wart doctor once. Of course, she's of the World War II generation, and they used to actually go see a wart doctor because this is the American South, and they didn't have a lot here. Before the war, before the Civil Rights Movement, there wasn't a lot. So, yeah, she talks about witch balls. There's so many American mandrake, American ginseng. Surely you've heard of Appalachian ginseng. It's very coveted. These are the chapters: the Appalachian witch or conjure person, the witch doctors, charm doctors, water witches, which is a thing here in Appalachia. And then part 2 would be chapter 2, mountain magic, excuse me. The yarbs, the occult uses of Appalachian herbs. Chapter 4 is the workings, charms, and curses. Chapter 5, seasonal lore and mountain astrology. And I'll hold up the table of contents so you can see that. If you need to pause it, you can pause it. But this is, again, another really just pretty book. And it really has a list of sources at the back too. It has an index and a lot of sources cited if you wanted to do further research on your own, which I encourage everyone always to do that. Now, the next two are, this one is from the bookstore or the magic shop that I go to, which is like a magic shop out of Practical Magic. The only store I will recommend to you in Alabama is Ritual Plus Shelter, or Ritual and Shelter. It has a plus sign though on the sign. You can find them on Instagram at Ritual Plus Shelter. And I got this there. They have some very unique books that you just don't even find at bookstores, and you wouldn't really know where to look online, because a lot of these are not on Amazon, or if they are, they're really expensive because they're from smaller publishers. And I have just started this one. I'm on chapter 3. And this is about Sacred Mushrooms of the Goddess by Clara P. Ruck. And it has been fascinating. Like I said, I've just started it. I started it with the Poisoner's Herbal because I felt like fungi would also go with the poison path. And mushrooms are not something I've grown a couple, like lion's mane, like a couple kit mushrooms. My husband likes that, but I've never really, I don't know enough about psilocybin to say much about it. And I know in the state of Alabama it's not legal. You'd have to go to Colorado. So don't think you're going to find a dispensary here. You're not. But this is about the history of it, and just it's from Greece through just the ancient world. And if you're into that and you're into history, the Wild Hunt, so you're really going to like this book. And I'll just sort of you can sort of see the layout. So it has kind of some graphics. It's going to be an easy read. If you read a lot of history and you like plants, this is just fun, and you can try to find it. Maybe you can find it at Abe's Books. You may want to contact Ritual Plus Shelter and see if they can get another copy of it. Or maybe it's on Amazon. I don't know if it's on Amazon because I didn't look. Like I said, I actually found that one in person. Now, this is another one I found in person, and I got it today. So my husband and I went to the mall. We live in a small town. We live on a mountain, Nakalula, and we have a mall, which is, not a mall like you're thinking. It's the Gadsden Mall. And if you've heard of Gadsden being in the media like around a few years ago, and you've heard the Gadsden Mall, Google that and it'll all come back to you. So, but it actually is a really sweet mall. And I like to go there because it's our only bookstore and no one's ever there. It's dead. It's like the Dead Mall series on YouTube. I forget who does that. But it's just, it's nostalgic. It reminds me of the 80s and the 90s. So we still patron the Books A Million. It's the Time Traveler's Herbal Stories and Recipes from the Historical Apothecary Cabinet. This is by Amanda Admiston. And this is actually from a small UK publisher, David and Charles. We got this today. I just went ahead and bought it there because we have a discount card, a Books A Million discount card, so it was actually cheaper than buying this one on Amazon because this does come from a small publisher. And again, it's one of these real pretty printed books about the author, that she had an amazing life. She had I think a career in law and human rights before she wrote this book. And these, I think, are, from what I gather, again, I just got this, these are actually family recipes and knowledge that are handed down. And this is such a beautiful little book that I just had to get it. But I'm just going to show you a few pictures so you can see what it looks like. It's just really pretty. And it's laid out well. It's laid out to be a fun read. Again, what do I call these? Nightstand books. Yeah. But it's packed full of information. And I know I'm just kind of showing you the beauty of it, but it is actually packed full of information. It has the Elder Mother's Elixir. That looks like elderberry just off the bat. So it's really pretty. And it does talk about some of the history intermingled in here. A lot of the history. Eleanor of Aquitaine, and it talks about, wow, some of the early female herbalists from Rome and the Middle Ages. Moss. This is, it's just really pretty. This is a pretty book. So, and it does have a lot of history there. I just noticed it had something about from Rome, 800 AD. So I just saw this. It was the only copy. I grabbed it up. I'll go to the table of contents and just hold it up. This is fun. If you just want something that's packed full of information, but also fun, this is a really good book. So yeah, there you go. So those are 4 witchy herbals, and I'll just end there. I'll have more herb books because I have a collection of just botany books in general, of gardening books, herb books, books about plants, art books about plants, Plantopedia right here. So I'll have to do a whole other video, or just actually I want to do several videos about plant books and put them in categories. I know I've done a gardening book video as well, so check that out. And I'll have more herb books coming soon because I just did a big order from magic.com. I know I'm addicted to books. The only thing I'm addicted to is books. That's it. It's a gentle madness. Anyway, have a lovely day.